So we're going to do a little reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam today. And we're going to do something a little different. But before we start, I'd like to welcome all of you and ask if there's anyone that's here in this temple for the first time. Any first timers here? First timers? And where are you from? But it's your first time in the temple. Welcome. Please continue to come back, and I'm sure that when you leave, the devotees will talk to you and further encourage you to please come back and participate in this wonderful program. Hare Krishna. Welcome. So the rest of you are pretty much familiar. I'm going to open with something a little bit different today. I just came from Gainesville, Florida. We are home at the University of Florida in Krishna Lunch. Many of you may be familiar. Krishna Lunch, currently they're in the latter part of the end of the summer semester. So every day, 5 days a week, the devotees go out and distribute 300-400 plates of prasad a day. And they have a little porch at the temple where a lot of people from the community come and they take prasad. This is like the selfless activity. Srila Prabhupada encouraged this. In 1971, he actually spoke on the Plaza of the Americans, which is by the main library where they actually serve prasad. And he said something to the effect, I'm not going to quote, that how in Gainesville, this very remote part of the world, that he wanted this to continue. He wanted this type of preaching to continue, and the devotees have faithfully just done that since 1971. My first introduction to going to Krishna House was 1977. And to this day, I always go back and consider that, my home. I left New York City and went to Gainesville to, start my devotional service. And so it's very dear to me. And, during the year, sometimes they serve during the regular semester, which is coming up shortly after the summer semester. We'll be serving 1,000 plates plus a day, 1,000 plates of prasad every day. And this has been going on for years. People come, even on holidays. Everybody was the recent Memorial Day holiday just passed, right? Was that the holiday? So everybody goes away, and all the devotees went away. It was a special program. I think Ananda Swami was in town, so everyone went to these different programs. So I stayed back at the temple. I had lots of chanting and catching up to do. And even on Memorial Day, a holiday, everyone knows schools, but everything's closed. There were about 6 or 7 cars constantly coming in. They had their little bowls. They want their prasadam, and it was a holiday. And they were like, I would say to them, oh, you're coming for prasadam? And they'd say, yes. Oh, we're closed. Come back tomorrow. They'd be, oh, well, So this is something that's encouraged. That should happen all over the world. Prabhupada said that he wanted prasadam distribution. He wanted us chanting Hare Krishna and being happy. So this is going on. So I just came from Gainesville, and in the class a couple of days ago, this one Mataji gave a really touching class. I'd like to maybe it's a little bit of a different format than what's done here. I think it's a way that everybody can participate. So let me just Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So this one monitor she gave this flash, open up with the question, because every one of us, from the day we're born to the day we leave this world, this material world, we're always confronted with difficulties, challenges. Every day is a new challenge. And sometimes it's the same challenge repeatedly. And how do we deal with those challenges in the world without letting us, first of all, having a different vision, seeing them in proper perspective. So you can look at a challenge that you have, some difficulty, and you can look at it and try to, resolve it. You do this, you do that, or you make some adjustment, or you eat this, or you drink that, or you don't go here, or you don't do that. Whatever adjustment you try to make to curb that difficulty. And then the other side of it is understanding the spiritual aspect of that. And that's what we're doing here. This is the purpose of being here. The purpose of being here is to solve those issues in life, not only on a day-to-day basis, purpose, but eternally. We want to stop this cycle of samsara, this repeated birth death. Because no matter what you do, okay, what did Prabhupada said? This world, this material world is dukkhalaya. What does that mean? Say again, please. Full of misery. There's no escape. No matter what you do, there's no escape. It's going to happen. So if we understand this, if we get this realization, then what do we do about it? And actually, everyone in this room, to whatever degree or to wherever you are, is actually answering that question, is we're trying to surrender to God. We're trying to surrender to Krishna. We're trying to surrender to Guru. And we're trying to serve each other. Krishna is more pleased when you serve his devotees than when you try to serve and approach him. So our mission, one of the reliefs from our suffering, instead of sitting down and contemplate how bad life is for us, right? Oh, I'm suffering this, I'm suffering that, this is happening, that is happening. It's going out and doing something with love to someone else. This is the way we take all this attention off ourselves. Because everybody, let's face it, we all want attention. We all want to be seen. We all want to be glorified. Hey, look at me. I'm cool, Just look at me. Look at my hair blow through as I drive my car down Commonwealth Avenue with my, with my music blaring and everyone's looking at me. Oh, I'm just the best. This type of illusion. And really, the person who's sitting in this car with this false ego flaring up is nothing but what? A grain of sand. That's how significant he is. And that's part of the problem. Instead of trying to get that glorification on self, okay, that glorification has to be turned towards glorifying Krishna. And Krishna is so beautiful. He's so beautiful. He's so loving. He's so loving. And he reciprocates. He reciprocates with his devotees. So, this many years ago, many of you may have known this one American president, John F. Kennedy. And he said in one of his famous speeches, ask not what you can do for your country. What is it? How's that go? You can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. Yes, thank you. So he said this. Ask not what you can do for your country. Ask, say it with me. Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. Yes. I'm not going to try to say it again because I'll mix up. But you need the accent. Yeah. But you'll get the point. It's the same thing in spiritual life. You shouldn't ask what God can do for you. You should really ask Krishna, how can I serve you? And that's when you'll really feel this compassion, this love in your heart. So getting back to the class that was being asked, the girl said to all of them, about 30 young people in the audience. And she said, how many of you have had an experience where you've experienced some suffering by someone else and you just really felt about it, you know? You know, someone did something to me and you think, and this happens all the time. Even driving sometimes, you know, you're trying to drive, you know, some guys like, you know, trying, and he pulls up and right away, you know, you want to say something, you know, but you should, you know. So this happens all the time. But if anyone wants to share, this is a time for you now. This is, you know, I'm gonna throw this to you. So I'm putting you in the spotlight. If anyone wants to share a particular experience that they've had, it could be recent or it could be in the past. They'd like to share, and then we're gonna just, you know, talk about it. So anyone want to volunteer any situation that you've had, particularly that was particularly disturbing? Anyone? Okay, we have one here. The mic is coming around. And please say your name so that we can all hear. And thank you for, you know, sharing. What's your name?
So my name is Harvey Short. Well, funny because as everyone can relate to, driving in Boston, it's a daily challenge. You know, but there's a running joke that Boston has a particularly tough attitude, even more so than New York and other places, and it shows through in the driving. People are just they just are incredibly indifferent to other people. They don't use turn signals, they barrel through lanes, and it'll show you exactly where you are in terms of your surrender and your humility. You have to deal with that constantly. So it's a good opportunity to constantly be reminded that you're not really making that progress. Thank you.
Thank you. That's very good. Thank you for sharing that. Anyone else? Don't be shy. Just any experience you have, it'll help to. Anyone? Okay. Thank you. Please say your name. Oh, not Maharaj yet. Thank you for that.
So this actually happened recently. So a friend of mine told me that they were planning to do something for me, and then a couple of days later they completely changed their mind. So I was very disappointed.
Yeah.
Because I had this high expectation, but it made me realize that maybe we shouldn't have too many expectations in this world, especially that in this world we're always going to get disappointed. So yes.
Thank you very much. That's exactly what we want to hear, because again, these situations happen all the time. And you know, as I said earlier, regardless of whatever arrangements we try to make, it's just temporarily there may be some relief, but eventually it's going to catch back up. These things are going to happen repeatedly. You know, we think of Draupadi. Okay, what happened to Draupadi? Anybody? Yes. There's a mic. When she was in the assembly, and yeah.
So she was distraught by one of her brothers, and she was crying out for help, but no one could help her because the Pandavas, they were already slaves of Duryodhana, and no one else had the guts to like get up and help.
Yeah. And what was she doing though? She was doing something before she was, what was she doing at this time when she was, you know, being disrobed?
She was praying to Krishna.
She was praying to Krishna, but she was also doing something else. She was, yes, who knows? This is a good point. Pass the mic. She was doing something else. She was praying, yes, but what was she doing?
She was holding on to the side.
Very good, very good. So what she was trying to do it herself. Okay, how many of us like the situation you just came to? You were very, very disappointed, right? You want an answer. We try to do it ourselves. We think I can do it, and that was, you know, in that frame of mind, she wasn't getting any relief. She wasn't getting an answer. But what happened after that?
When she lived to go from
Acha. It's surrender. She said, Krishna, she just put her hands, you take over, And in all of these situations that we have, okay, that's the thing, that's something that we can do practically, We think of Arjuna on the battlefield, right? And he goes out, let's actually go to the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse 7. So if you have your machines and you want to follow along, chapter 2, verse 7 of the Bhagavad Gita, and if someone would like to read the Sanskrit, 2:7.
If you can wait for a second, I'll put it on the TV.
Oh, okay. All right, so we're gonna put it up here. Because some of you don't have it. Normally they were saying, don't turn these things on because they're distracting during class, but it's modern technologies and so you can just, what is that, chapter 2, verse 7. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Ram, Hare Ram. Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram. Okay, anyone want to tackle the Sanskrit? You want to? Anyone? Okay. John, thank you.
Kalpanya dosha pahatsvaha Echami tham dharma samudya chetaha Yache asha nistitam priti tane Cheshyate hamsani mamam prarthanam.
Thank you. Very nice. So, the translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Now I am confused about my duty and have lost all composure because of miserly weakness. In this condition, I am asking to tell me for certain what is best for me. Now I am your disciple and a soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me. It may have be a little different. I don't know if it's different from what I read, but because there's different translations. So what's happening here? What's happening here? So Arjuna's, who's it? Yeah, please, yes. Can you pass the mic? What's happening right now? Arjuna's speaking to Krishna, yes. And what is he? What? Go ahead.
From my understanding, he's bewildered.
Yes.
Of his duty.
Yes.
And he's asking Krishna what's best for him. He's surrendering to him.
Very good. Very good. Thank you. So this is the point again. Just like we just were talking about, Jopati, look at our situation, all these calamities happen. One of the greatest prayers that I've heard, one of my favorites, okay, is the prayers of Queen Kunti. And what is she praying? It's mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing that Queen Kunti went through so much, and she's saying to give more calamities because by all these things happening and by Krishna being here, she can remember Krishna in these times of distress. But without that, there's no solution. And we're in the same situation. And here Arjuna. So what is Arjuna doing? He's surrendering. Okay? And for all of us, no matter where we are, we have to come to that point in our life where we really realize that a lot of this stuff is way above our head. Really. Let's face it, And I think that not trying to, discourage or put devotees down, because I'm also talking about people who really don't have an answer to these things and what they do, and it's really, really, really sad. What are some of the answers? What are some of the things they do for relief? Drinking, take intoxication. They do all these things just to get a little bit of relief. And even if there is some pleasure in it, it's so temporary. It's so temporary. When I was in household life, I was a tennis pro, not a playing pro. I didn't play, but I was an instructing pro. I worked at many tennis games, and I got to the point where I was like a supervisor. So I was in charge of 130 something. What is it? 7 to 10-year-olds. Okay, and I had a staff of about 30 something staff members, college students from all over the country. And this camp that I worked in wasn't just a tennis camp, it was an athletic camp. It's very, very, very well run. It's very prominent. It was actually it was here in Massachusetts in the Berkshires. Camp Mackinac was one of them, and there's another one, Camp Dandy, which is a girls' camp that my 2 daughters went to. Anyway, so I got into a position of being in management. I had responsibility for all these kids. And I want to share one particular incident that really opened my eyes to this. And I was still, aspiring as I am today to be a devotee. So I did, even when I'm in situations like most of you have to go to work, you have to do things in the world, to survive for your family, understood. And so I'm giving an example of myself in this situation. And it has to do with happiness, satisfaction, and completion in one's life, coming from the perspective of children. So we went to this, we left the camp. I had 2 busloads of kids, about 100, 130, 140 kids, 2 busloads. We went to Six Flags. Right? Many of you may have been to Six Flags. You know Six Flags, right? Place of fun, enjoyment, happiness, yay, yay. So I took these kids to Six Flags, and they're so excited, everyone's like, and they wrote, before going to Six Flags, they wrote home to their parents, right? To get extra money to buy more, play games and just, eat till you puke, They actually did eat till you puke. Because anyway, I won't elaborate. You can fill in the blanks. But so I took the 2 busloads. We get there in the morning, and everyone is just like glowing, not spiritually, but materially glowing. Get so fired. These kids out of the bus. I get the kids. I put them in groups. You stay with your counselor. We're gonna meet back here at 12 o'clock for lunch. I meet like that. So everyone went out, right? And I'm running around the whole amusement park, like making sure no one, putting out fires, basically, making sure it's lost. 2 kids are not putting gum in each other's hair. They're not doing this and not doing that. So that's my job. So and every once in a while, the kids would say to me, could you go on a ride with us? And I'm thinking, no, and they say, oh, come on, and you kind of have to surrender. You don't really have to, but I did, okay, once. So I wanted so I wanted to rise with one of these kids, right? A group of kids, it was 3 of them, so standing there holding my hand, right? And we're in line for almost an hour, right? And it's hot, the sun is going, and people are passing out, and it's just like this whole thing going on. And then we finally get up there, half an hour, 45 minutes later, whatever it is, we get on the ride, it goes up, it goes down, and we're done. That's it. It's 2 minutes. It's like, 45 minutes, 2 minutes. I mean, come on, that's not pleasure, And then the kids, and they're like, yeah, let's go on again. I said, no, not happening. I went, but this is the idea, this is the idea of the material world. You so much effort for 2 minutes of so-called pleasure. And then you want to do it again, but they wanted to go on again because that wasn't enough. So the whole day went like this, not for me. I, went around and was continuing doing my kids were doing this. I saw one kid spend like $40 on one of those games, $40. He's just going and going and going. And then when he finally and he kept upgrading his prize. So when he finally got his bike, it was a teddy bear about this big, $40. A little teddy bear. And then you know what he did? He came past, he looked at it, and he threw it in the trash. He didn't get any happiness from that. Anyway, so the whole day goes on, the water park, the whole thing. And at the end of the day, I stood by the gate, the exit, and I watched, because I told them now, 5:30, we're gonna meet at the gate, bring all your groups together, it's done, and kids are coming back. And I look at their faces and they're just drained. They're drained. There's no bliss. I'm sorry, there's no bliss there. Okay, these are kids, these are innocent kids, and they're coming back into the bus and they're all just fried, throwing up, sunburn, scratching mosquitoes, but they're done. And the bus is not a sound. All the kids are sleeping on the way home, But there's no fulfillment in that whole day, That's the material world. It's this really crazy amusement park that we think we're gonna really, get a lot out of, and really, it's minute. The opposite end of that is Krishna consciousness. When you really put yourself in the hands of God, in the hands of Krishna, in the hands of Guru, the return is much greater. It's a much better investment. A lot of you here are very educated. You're all, IT workers or stuff or whatever it is. Have good jobs, you have good families, and every one of you are sitting here know about investment. You know about material investment. Well, it doesn't matter what your investment is in the material world. When you leave here, it's staying here. It's staying here. It's not going with you. But your spiritual investment, that's important. So what does that mean? That means more emphasis, more of your time, more priority should be put in towards your spiritual life. And again, you have to. I had 3 kids. I grew up. I did the whole thing, so I know. You can't say, "Oh, you're a brahmachari. You don't know what is that." Yes, I do. Yeah, I changed diapers. I took kids to the laundry. I had them on my back. All of that, and then I went and worked with other kids. So these things are necessary. But the highest priority in my life was finishing that and being able to come and sit here and do what I'm doing now. That was my ultimate goal. Is for the rest of my life, try my best to serve Prabhupada and serve Krishna, serve the devotees. And that's the best investment, because that's eternal. That account will never dry up. In the purport from text 7, it says, by nature's own way, the complete system of material activities is a source of perplexities for everyone. In every step, there is perplexity. And therefore, it behooves one to approach a bona fide spiritual master who can give one proper guidance for executing the purpose of life. All Vedic literatures advise us to approach a bona fide spiritual master to get free from the perplexities of life, which happen without desire. We don't want these things to happen. All of us, when we come here, we're guaranteed so much pleasure, and that's it. That's it. The cup doesn't run over. And we're guaranteed so much suffering. And those things are going to happen. Happiness and distress, the duality, right? But the sage, the yogi, is equal poles. He's not distracted. He's not disturbed by these things. So what we have to do when we're driving around in Boston and someone's cutting in front of us, when someone that we know has said, I'm going to do something for you, and then they wind up not doing it, okay? When someone does something to you, you just really feel in your heart, why did you do that to me? Or even in some cases, when we do things to other people, because we're also susceptible. Coming to Krishna consciousness, Bhakti Tirtha Swami once said in the class, it's like being in the hospital. It's like being in the hospital. We're actually right now in the hospital. Some of us even have masks on. And that hospital is because we have a material disease to try to lord it over, to try to be God. And it doesn't work. It doesn't work. And we have guru, we have so many doctors, so many people who are here to help guide us. We have to take heed to this. This is how we're going to get well. But in that process, some of the stuff that we have comes out. And we even sometimes, unfortunately, give other devotees some of our garbage. It's very sad. I'm guilty of this. I'll be the first to raise my hand. And that's a very bad situation. We should really try our best to really understand and really love each other. Krishna is in everyone's heart. Krishna is everywhere. Everything belongs to Krishna. And we're all part and parcel. There's a special relationship. There's a special connection that cannot be broken. And then we have to be very careful, because sometimes the offenses we give, come back at us. How many times, who was the devotee that committed such a great offense? He went all over the world to try to get relief to break his offense. And he went up to the highest planets. Divarsa Muni, right? And what happened?
Krishna said, no, I can't help you.
Yeah. So when we defend the devotee, we should throw ourselves at the devotee's feet. Sometimes even in the mind, we see someone, and we look at, and it's like, and they're getting praise. They may be sitting on an elevated seat, and it's like, why is he sitting here, not me? Or we see someone who's singing very nicely, or going out and doing nice sankirtan and distributing so many books. It's like, why is he doing? What about me? Or why is she doing? And these things, because they're there in our hearts. But we're trying to purify those things. We're trying to understand that, right? We're trying to grow from you. We actually grow from our mistakes. But we have to be very careful. We really do. We have to treat each other with love and kindness. Regardless of, devotees are very special, and they're very rare souls. Devotees are very, very, very special. So what time is it? 10 minutes. It's 10 minutes. They are like a forest fire that somehow blazes without being set by anyone. Similarly, the world situation is such that complexities of life automatically appear without warning such confusion. No one wants fire, and yet it takes place. And we become perplexed. No one wants fire, yet it takes place, and we become perplexed. There's so many fires in this material world that happen in our life, and we don't want them to happen, but they happen. And so when they do happen, we have to know and understand the circumstance, how to react to it. Training. This is the training. And one of the biggest ways, and I'm gonna have to go a little faster now because I'm almost out of time. Srila Prabhupada and Lord Chaitanya has given us. Okay, because here's the big one. Here's the big one. How do we control these? How do we understand these things? How do we not react? Okay, and I'm going to show you right now. I'm going to tell you all the secret. Okay, I'm going to tell you right now. Everyone, I'm going to give you a secret, and I want you to follow along with me because this is the answer. This is the conclusion. Okay, It's like in a movie, you watch a movie, it's going on, and you have, what is that called? Say it again? The climax, yes, thank you. My assistant here, she's so, what is your name, please? So, yeah, Subhadra, she plays wonderful harmonium, so I kind of know it. Every time I make a mistake, she's whispering the answers to me. So I get the credit, really, thank you. But yeah, we're at that point where I'm gonna give you the answer right now to how we solve some of these difficulties in our life. Are you ready for it? Let me ask you, are you ready for it? Yes. It really doesn't sound like, I just know these. Are you ready for it? Yes. So the answer is all in the bag. It's all in the bag. There's a really nice verse. I don't remember it. I'm gonna try. And it's ahai meti savas siddha aibe sabara. Anyone know that? Okay, that's the term. And there's a reference to Ananda Chaitanya Charitamrita 8.2. And it says, by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, one will get all, listen to this, okay? One will get all perfection. So let's take a minute. If you have these, fine. If you don't have these, fine. I want you to close your eyes, okay? And I want all of us to really meditate, really hear, okay? One mantra together, nice and slow. Take a deep breath, please, if you need to. Let it out. Take a deep breath. Close your eyes, sit up straight. All right, here we go. Ready? Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. One more time. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. One more time. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. That's the answer. That's perfect. I mean, that's the answer. That's how we stop all this nonsense. That's how we stop all this nonsense. Really hearing this mantra. Well, Chaitanya said that everything, okay, is invested in the holy names. We have to believe that. See? See? I can't argue with that. We have to believe that. And we have to take these things, okay? We have to turn them off. We have to put them someplace while we're doing this. Because this and this equals, I don't know. Okay? Well, see? Told you. And I want to make that point to all of us. If you have to have this when you're doing this, I don't know what to say. It's just not, Prabhupada has a lecture in New York. I won't say that. I really want to hit home here because I see that I travel all over the place. I watch the devotees who are so wonderful devotees. And I see them chanting or making an effort to chant. And they're chanting and they're Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna. And this is not chanting. I'm sorry. This is not chanting. This is chanting. Okay? It's not really. You have to put your heart into this. I'm sitting here right now, and I'm really trying to reach and talk to every one of you. And I see a lot of you just really like you're sitting up and you're paying attention, right? But if I'm sitting here and I'm talking, I'm like, oh, wait a minute, hold on for a second. I gotta do this quick. Let me see. You know, I mean, you'd be like, come on, what are you doing? You're doing this when you do this to God. This is your relation, this is your way out to the world, and you're not taking it to, it's a poor investment. It's a poor investment. No matter what you can get on this, this is not taking you back to Godhead. This is. Okay? So when you're doing this, do it with full conviction. Find a time and a place where you can sit down quietly and really meditate on it. It makes a big difference. You know, I remember back in the 70s when we first came, there was none of this stuff. More distractions. This is a distraction. That's all it is. It's not going to, that's not going to enhance your chanting. It's actually going to take away from your chanting. And the most important thing as devotees that we do is chanting. I heard Prabhupada say to take one devotee. I'm sorry, I don't want to say Prabhupada said, but in relationship to that, you know, if all you do, you get up and you just chant, go back to sleep, just do that. But chant. So really, think about it. I want to hit this. I want everyone in this room who are devotees, or like myself, aspiring devotees, and who are taking up this process of chanting Hare Krishna to feel guilty. I want you to feel guilty every time you're trying to connect with Krishna and you interfere with this nonsense. It's not nonsense, but it actually is nonsense. Okay? You put this away, turn it off, chant, and then you can get back to it. You have the whole rest of the time to do this. And I apologize for, you know, if I'm coming on strong like this, but it pains my heart. Because, you know, it pains my heart because you're not investing. There's a problem. And we do it unconsciously. Devotees do it, they don't even realize it. You know? And I don't care how good you are at multitasking, you can't multitask Krishna. You can't put Krishna on speed dial, you can't put Krishna on hold. All right, so we're just about over. Thanks all of you. I think all of you participated, and I'll be around if you have any other questions or comments. I thank you for your participation, and for taking some time to listen to me, and I encourage you, please chant Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
There's a control there. I'll get all right.
What's the name of the mask? What's the name of the mask that you're using? Yeah. N95. Can we get it one here?
Convenience stores might sell them, but I brought them.